What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again once more. And as usual, I do have a couple stuff that I want to share with you this fine day here. Right? So let's get to them. So first and foremost, I would like to issue a disclaimer, right? A fair use disclaimer for review and criticism purposes, of course. Right, and we're gonna watch this here video and what this guy has to say about it, and we're gonna keep it pushing as usual, right?
Everyone thinks the future is about innovation, AI, smart cities, green energy, but that's the cover story. The real future is about reducing the human surplus without a single bullet fired. And the system that is being built makes it look like progress. In the old world, humans were assets. More people meant more labor, more soldiers, more taxpayers. But technology flipped the equation. When automation does the work, people become liabilities. They consume resources and they produce nothing. From a corporate state perspective, they are dead weight on the balance sheet. Now, what happens to liabilities in a system? They are minimized, quietly, efficiently. You don't announce population reduction. You don't draft policies that say time to eliminate 800 million people. You design the environment so people self-select out of life. First, you control food economics. Make real nutrition a luxury. Flood markets with synthetic hyper-processed calories. Why? Cheap to make, addictive to consume, and lethal over time. Obesity, diabetes, cancers. It's slow-motion euthanasia disguised as personal choice. And then you privatize survival systems. Hospitals, medicine, insurance. Turn health into a product, and when the bill comes and you can't pay, nature takes its course. No violence, no fingerprints. Meanwhile, you flood culture with distractions. War headlines, influencer drama, ideological cage matches, so no one notices the algorithm that decides who thrives and who quietly disappears. People think they are arguing politics, but in reality, they are debating inside the zoo enclosure, while the zookeeper holds the keys to their lifespan. This isn't genocide. It is market-driven selection, a corporate Darwinism where the unprofitable simply. So what? Everyone send insurance, turn health, obesity, diabetes,
Sorry about that.
systems, hospitals, medicine, insurance, turn health into a product, and when the bill comes and you can't pay, nature takes its course. No violence, no fingerprints. Meanwhile, you flood culture with distractions. War headlines, influencer drama, ideological cage matches, so no one notices the algorithm that decides who thrives and who quietly disappears. People think they are arguing politics, but in reality, they are debating inside the zoo enclosure, while the zookeeper holds the keys to their lifespan. This isn't genocide. It is market-driven selection, a corporate Darwinism where the unprofitable simply phase out. And the punchline, they don't kill you. They invoice you until you die. This is the most profitable extinction in human history. And it's happening in slow motion while everyone thinks they are free. Everyone thinks.
Yeah, right. I have expressed such an opinion, right? And the slave is expensive, right? And yeah, that's the future right there, right? So people, as I'm talking right now, there are places that have water rationing, or they're gonna run out of water sooner or later because of, I don't know, data centers or something. This is where we are, and people keep arguing about left and right, right? People keep arguing about ruling party, opposition parties. This is the conversation now.
So what I'm gonna
Again, another video. Disclaimer for fair use, for review purposes.
do is So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to pause this periodically. I am warning you right now. There are more lies packed into 3 minutes than you could possibly imagine. Every time I hear a lie and debunk it, I don't mean to torture you, but we have to do it this way. Here they come. These are alpha males. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities. And I guarantee you Donald Trump couldn't find Iran on a map before this year. The main enrichment site is well out of range of the conventional munitions which you dropped. The world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Let's just put this one to rest. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. This gives you a clue of who wrote this speech. Anything regarding Iran or Israel comes directly from the lobby. That's beyond argument at this point. Post 9/11, what was the worst thing in the world, we were told? Al-Qaeda. Who created Al-Qaeda? The CIA and British intelligence MI6 with Saudi intelligence and Pakistani ISI. They created Al-Qaeda, not Iran. So I think whoever sponsored or created Al-Qaeda is probably going to rank #1. Who ran Camp Bucca? The United States did. U.S. military intelligence and the CIA. Who funded ISIS? Qatar, the Gulf states. Right, so we've got Al-Qaeda and ISIS, 2 biggest terrorist groups in the world. And still no Iran. Who was fighting ISIS on the ground from 2014? Iran. Who was leading the fight against ISIS? Bashar al-Assad, the Russians, and Hezbollah. Interesting. So whoever fights Al-Qaeda and ISIS is labeled a terrorist by the United States government. So the U.S. and Israel get to decide who's a terrorist group. Just ask the Palestinians. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. Tell us how that works. Who launched an unprovoked war of aggression against Iran? Israel did. And then who followed Israel to launch their own based on 0 evidence of nuclear weapons? The United States did. Okay, so Israel is bombed and attacked and occupying.
And besides, if they really had nuclear weapons, they would not be attacked. So does the logic go.
Lebanon, Syria, also obviously the illegal occupation of Palestinian land. And now they've attacked Iran. Absolute inversion of reality. He's provided every single bit of ammunition Israel required for a genocide. So who's the bully of the Middle East? Did Iran do any of that? No. Iran spilled more blood fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda than the United States did. In fact, Al-Qaeda and ISIS never attacked Israel. That should tell you who's behind those terrorist groups. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America. This is another lie. When Iran says death to America, they're talking about death to the American imperialist regime that is killing, bombing, and maiming people in the region. For most of the lives of everybody living in that region, the United States has been at it. And Israel has too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to pause this periodically.
I'm not gonna add anything, no saying. Again, we have been tracking these, right? These keep popping up time after time, right? Did they find any drugs this time? Yeah. 33 hours, huh? What were you praying for? He was basically praying for that God make, I don't know, the victim, not the victim, rather, the perpetrator of this crime to not be a white American, basically. Right? He was distraught. We should have seen he was in disbelief. Right? This is a leader, man. Sheesh. 2025. Right? Yeah, these people here, they're gonna find out soon. Believe me, they're gonna find out the true face of the people they have been supporting, you know? Yeah, they gotta keep the journalists away, as if there's even need for journalists these days when it comes to the quest, or rather the search of information. Right, everybody with a camera phone at this point, right? Huh? Yeah, I'm just documenting everything, right? Because these people have a tendency to, I don't know, they reset their minds every time they go to sleep, right? Qatar, how the mighty have fallen. Look at these statements. You think these are new ideas that they developed within these few weeks or something? Or was it just a thought that was in the back of their heads, and they are waiting for the opportune moment, right? That's why that attack was something to them. Good phrasing, settlers. They need to go back where they came from, it seems. They are trying in Iran, they are working hard, even in Turkey now, right? And I think you should go through the same script. They know for a fact they cannot talk under the government like that. So you gotta find who is paying who and for what. That is what you have to be up to right now. Hey, at least they are trying. Well, where have they been learning then? Certainly not from politicians. Maybe they have been picking up those non-verbal cues that their parents have been laying down for them, right? Again, I ask, whose benefit? Again, this gives me deja vu. You know, remember back in 2019, 2020? We don't say if you are kind here if you don't have a face diaper, you know? Talk about face diapers, you know? Today they done dropped a biological weapon on Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. Again, just for the record. Multiple, actually. But again, nobody knows nothing. Huh? Okay. He's out here just spreading peace and stuff. This is his warning. They have to be very, very careful. What you're meaning to say, maybe you have to be very, very accurate. Here it goes. Right? Another fight. Right? Another fight. What interests does the US have when it comes to the protection of this guy? Who knows? But again, from where I stand, it does not look good. If your backing is the US, yeah, Look at that. They have a whole digital wall over there. Hmm? You can pause and read for yourself. Yeah, somebody is gonna have to take responsibility. Again, I'm just documenting this stuff, right? Yeah, as usual, things come out late. This is the furnace, right? That furnace that make gold shine. It's violent, it's not fair, but again, it purifies. Yeah, for those who don't know, that symbol literally means the cup. If you don't know what the cup is, then maybe film a member. So this is what also unfolded over there in Nepal. So who was responsible for this whole situation? Then more information is coming out, but for now, this is what happened. This is what happened as they try to resolve their situation. Look at that. They are developing new plant species to, I don't know, suck more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Like I said many times, these people claim to want to serve the earth, right? They want to serve, the earth and stuff, right? But all of their actions only show us that they are intending to destroy it, right? I'm just saying, as a responsible human. Look at that. This whole fuss was, they are looking for respect, right? They are looking for respect, and that's, I guess. Yeah. So this is what is unfolding in Congo. Just like it unfolded in Uganda last year, is it? Statistics, right? Even this statistics. Are you telling me 10 projects a year? Or is it a month? A year. Wow. This will never ever make it into big discussions. Why? Because it does not serve their agenda. It goes against their agenda, right? As they try to deflect responsibility to third parties, this would show that we are all under siege by these entities, right? This is what I would say. this also has to stick, right? This also has to stick in your minds, right? Yeah, this is just them grifting, whilst saying, we are trying to bring unity. This is grifting. This is sheer division, right? People are actually allowed to be against this Charlie guy, right? Ideologically, but you as a leader of both groups, regardless of time, should not be alienating the other group, and that's what is happening, right? The left is blaming the right is blaming the left. It's just a whole disaster, right? While it should be about case by case. But again, they're just grouping all of these quote-unquote hate crimes. You know, another trigger word they like to use out there. So, another video, fair use disclaimer.
1885. So this is just before, at the same time when the emperor was coming here, the German emperor, Theodor Herzl, who was trying to convince the Germans and the Ottomans to give him Palestine. He followed the emperor because the emperor kept on refusing to meet him in Europe. So he followed him on his trip from Istanbul to Baalbek to try to convince him to hand over Palestine or convince the Ottomans to do so. And in fact, like there's one photo of Herzl on his, tracking of the emperor, the German emperor, trying to, and he was not able to. The emperor refused the whole time, and that's when the Zionists decided to switch imperial switch allegiance. Exactly, switch allegiance and find a different empire to sponsor their project. And look at the top of us, what we have right here. These are the largest six-pointed stars in all the old world. Okay, and you will see in the site here a few of those. Two things to know. Number one is that before ISIS destroyed the Baal temple of Baal in Palmyra, the roof of the temple.
Yeah, you know Baal?
Temple of Baal had all these symbols. These six.
What is the six-pointed star doing in a temple for Baal? The god that liked human sacrifices, right? And these are the most dangerous type of witchcraft or sorcery practitioners, those who believe that they can, garner spiritual power by murdering people.
Pointed star, the crescent, the cross, the swastika, all of those were symbols from the old Canaanite religion. Now the Zion.
Yes, even the cross. The cross is a symbol. It was a symbol, right? For believe it or not, Yeshua was not the first one to be crucified. I'm just saying, okay?
In their depravity, they want to claim that this temple of Bacchus and the temple of Baal before him was actually the temple of Solomon. They want to claim that the old lost city of Solomon is Baalbek. All because of these 6 pointed stars.
Yeah, they want to make you safer, right? They want to turn you into a less of a liability for them, right? They need to make money, and all of this truth is interfering with said process of making money. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the Gnostics, right? And what they believe and what is the truth. I believe people have fallen victim to, I don't know even what to call it. Okay, I shall demonstrate, right? This is what the serpent says, right? For God knows that one day, on the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you'll be like God, knowing good and evil. Okay, now let's dissect this statement, right? Critically. Critically. I don't know, just like a linguist would, you know? When he says, for God knows, what does it mean? He knows what God knows. Okay? That's strike number one. He knows what God knows. So he feels that he can speak in the stead of God. Yeah? First strike. On the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened. Right? And what were the warnings that were issued? What would happen after if they would eat that fruit? Right? Again, we're using simple language here. Right? I'm trying to be more direct. Right? I'm trying to be more direct for even the simplest people to understand. Right? So he says that if you eat it, you'll be like him. Right? You'll be like God. Right? And is that not a problem? Well, it depends on what type of person you are and what type of spiritual understanding do you have. Why would you want to be God in the first place? Strike number two. There's so many strikes here. Right? We can go on and on and on and on. Right? But again, it's a lot of semantics and spells. Right? So let's talk about the Matrix, the movie Matrix, right? And we are going to look at the dialogue, right? Because the dialogue in the Matrix is the same dialogue as in the story of Adam and Eve, right? The Gnostic people are spreading their, you should be worried, like the pushers of the Gnostic are Hollywood, and people, the red flags are not even going up for some people, but anyway. So Morpheus, who is the devil, right? He says, this is your last chance. How the hell he figure? Right? After this, there is no turning back. How does he figure? There is actually a way to turn back. They were pursuing Neo so as they can put him back. It is possible to go back. But they say, he says rather, there's no turning back. Right? He goes back the same way he goes in, don't they? But this is about the way, the door. You take the blue pill, the story ends. Nobody wants their story to end. That's inconvenient for anybody that I know. Right? Especially a good story, especially an exciting story. They wouldn't want it to end. Right? And besides, the whole connotation, the end of the story, that's literally just like death, you know? And nobody wants that. But again, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. right? He says that after this encounter that we have had, after you take this pill, something is going to happen to you in the morning, right? Something is going to happen to you in the morning, and that thing, I don't know, you'll go back to normal, basically. That's what the Matrix is. That's what he assumes. Is the Matrix what Neo wants to believe? In a collective sense, no. Right? It is not a private experience, so to speak, the Matrix in that context. It is not a private experience. It is a collective experience. People were invited into this world to live in subconsciously, or I don't know, their minds uploaded to this system. Right? And it had nothing to do with belief, but Morpheus' interference with the system shook the belief of Neo, who believed that the system was fine and everything was working fine. Right? Whatever that means. Again, we are talking about Gnostics here. They're not gonna paint God in a good light, right? They are all about the serpent. The serpent was right, and this video, I'm trying to challenge that, right? You take the red pill, right? You stay in Wonderland, right? Is it good to stay in Wonderland? I thought people wanted to escape Wonderland. Isn't that the whole point? Wizard of Oz and all of that. But again, he phrased it as in where they are right now. Where they are is Wonderland, not the Matrix. Okay? Not the Matrix. Where they are is the Wonderland. And I show you, right? I show you. I'm gonna guide you to an end that you don't know yet. Again, go back to the serpent and the woman, Eve. He dethroned God, the serpent dethroned God, and he put himself there. And Eve, right? And Eve ignored the warning that was given by his creator. And that is a grave sin, because he brought about destruction, right? The devil had destruction with him. So, all of that which he promised would happen, happened. Because of that sin, people started to die. We basically lost everything, right? At that particular point, if you are Adam and Eve, why would you need knowledge, for instance? Why would you need... Let's talk about the world before the serpent's interaction, right? Why would you need to be wise and know good and evil? Why? There was no evil around you except the serpent. So they knew of the serpent and whatever he told them. Okay? They were surrounded by good everywhere. Right? No wild animals, no diseases. What was the knowledge for? This knowledge that these people keep talking about, right? What is it for? Did they need to do agriculture? I'm just asking, like, seriously. Because I think people get lost in the source, you know. People believe that they take up these new ideologies and they want to feel special or something, right? So the opinion of the Gnostics, of course, is the red pill is the forbidden fruit. It's called illumination. Why would they want to know evil? Again, That's assuming, right? What was that knowledge good for anyway in the garden? But after the garden, that knowledge was useful. So he perpetrated Adam and Eve to be kicked out of the garden by pretending and taking on the position of God, and humanity, the fathers of humanity as per the story, believed the devil more than God. That is the truth. Okay? You put yourself in that situation. You be a third party. There is Adam and Eve, not even third party, fourth party in this case, right? You take yourself out of the story, right? You're over here. There's a tree, a fruit, God, Satan, Adam and Eve. Okay? And then you see God telling Adam and Eve, right? God, who has never done anything bad or wished ill toward, he literally created the perfect world for them, right? This good God tells them, do not eat of that tree right there, right? He knew that they had to take responsibility for their choices, right? He wasn't gonna subdue them or force them to obey or listen to whatever he says. No, he had to give them a choice. They had to choose to continue to obey, as we do today, or rebel, as some do. Okay? So then the woman, right, or humanity as a general, right, chose to listen to this newcomer, right, who has no track record. You don't even know where that he just pop up, you know. They just pop up and tell this woman, eat of the fruit, and she ate. And she ate. That was serious, right? That was serious. No matter how you twist and turn it, the serpent here is not the victim, right? He's a perpetrator of a grave crime, and he got punished, right? If he had the access to the fruit, then why did he now walking in his stomach eating dust, right? He could have been a god himself, you know, just slither around and ate the fruit and boom. He didn't need to convince nobody that they could be God. Why? Was it such a good thing that he wanted to share? Is that the case? Well, we're going to find out down the line, aren't we? Right? So again, this is what it's about, right? And of course, they have abundant faith for experiential knowledge, right? And again, if you read the scripture, it tells you about knowledge. Knowledge is nothing but madness. And of course, the secrets, right? Just like the Masons claim to fame, right? They say that their founding father, so to speak, was the builder of Solomon's temple, right? And this temple was built by specific information, or rather instructions from the heavens, right? So these people claim to have the secrets of heaven, and we know all about the secrets of heaven. Enoch knew all about the secrets of heaven, right? And how these fallen angels have used it to deceive mankind over and over, and here they are doing it again, right? This is where the secret societies come from, right? So these people who claim to have these secrets, now they can say, okay, now we are the gatekeepers. We can deny you this information, or you can have it, right? Since they want to, let's be consistent. All I'm trying to say is, okay, let's be consistent. the devil was saying God was selfish, right? God was selfish. He didn't want humans to be like him, right? Now what are why is it secretive? Why is it secretive? Right? Where has the spirit of giving gone? Right? This is always about power. It has always been about power. And the devil trying to play God. And that has to click into people's mind. Right? And this is where these are the points that they use, right? The secret kingdom. The secret of the kingdom of heaven. Right? It was a mystery, right? As per the one who was talking, he was the mediator between the creator and the creation. He was the mediator, right? He was the mediator. He was the lamb, the sacrificial lamb, to settle the scores between humanity and the creator. So he knew the secrets about the only person who can claim so, right? But again, they are trying to hijack, right? They never speak bad about Christ, right? They say that they basically insinuate, right, that Christ and Satan are on the same side, basically. And basically there's no difference, right? And if we were to twist and turn it, basically they are saying the same thing. They are all about the illumination of humankind, right? And these characters here, right, alien pagans, maybe, right? They have books and books and so he says here, among the mature, right? Like seriously, right? Seriously, why is it secret knowledge? Let's talk about that. Why is it secret knowledge? In the spirit of sharing, right? That is the spirit of the serpent, right? Isn't it dangerous, people, to be ignorant? Is it life-threatening? Isn't it? Would people lose their soul if they do not have this knowledge? So then why is it secret? Why isn't it out there so as it can be challenged? It's a power structure. The initiated, the uninitiated. It's a club. It's a club. And everybody these days wants to join that club that sides with the devil and the serpent in the garden. Right? So they are claiming that Christ had secrets. Right? When he said on the cross that my work is done, he was talking about all of the work that he did in public and the work that he did in secret, the teaching that he gave people in secret, right? So basically he created a cult that would then, because they are also claiming that these secrets were not written down, they were handed down over generation by word of mouth, right? So Christ created this group, and this group, I don't know, went underground because for some reason, right? Maybe they were being persecuted and whatnot. And this group that was supported, or even Christ, some others go even fast to say that Christ himself was part of the cult, right? And of course, they have the secret teachings, which were, again, methodically, right, without any alteration, handed down generation to generation. And who are the holders of said knowledge? I'm interested. Right? And this is because of some text they found in Egypt, right? Some Christian, or rather Israelite text they found in Egypt, right? Nag Hammadi. So, yeah, this is how, I don't know, weak foundation Christianity was built upon, right? That one single discovery literally undoes rather everything that was handed down. Right? I know what's what. I know what these people are doing. I know who they work for. I know what their agenda is, and of course, I can also understand those people who have been deceived, right? And of course, let's. Of course, I'm gonna link a video where I got all of these slides because it's one video, right? Talking about the things that we're talking over and over and over, right? So they see themselves as gods. Do they get worshipped? Are we forced to worship? Right? Because a true worship is the one that one does willingly, right? Willingly, right? That is the true worship, not by force, not by crook, right? When a person understands and their conviction is strong and they have a depth and understanding that, okay, now I'm in the presence of my creator and nothing less than that, right? So again, here we are, and this is not the fault of the God, of the creator of the Bible, right? Or of the garden even, right? In the garden, there will be no oligarchs, there will be no corporations, there will be no big tech, there will be no governments. Why? Why would these things exist in the Garden of Eden? Let's have that genuine discussion, right? Because people always say that people talk about things but they don't really know what they're talking about, you know. Let's go back to the line. Look here. We speak a message of wisdom among the mature, but to the wisdom of the age, of the rulers of this age, who are coming to nothing. Now we declare God's wisdom mystery that has been hidden. Is it a mystery? Brother, right? I hope that I know that when I link videos here, it shows you a notification, I suppose. I'm not sure anymore. Okay, I don't get no notification. Okay, so if you leave me a comment, I'll most likely see it after, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. Okay, so then why have you been trained to despise the God of the garden, the God that created the Garden of Eden? Why? And sided the serpent? Why? Okay, you are intelligent enough, right? You are intelligent enough, and you have come to very intelligent conclusions, right? But again, your intelligence has flaws, right? Would oligarchs, corporations, big tech, and governments exist in the Garden of Eden? If not, then who led us here? Who led us to this point? That is my question. I want to know the answers, right? Because this is not just about picking up trends and moving along with them, right? With people like this one here, this serpent here, right? He's been lying to teeth for a long time, right? I have known Graham Hancock for a long time, right? Longer than most. Believe me, you. Okay, I've known this guy since the early beginning, like underground YouTube, you know, channels that have by now disappeared, right? And he came into the alien community, and he knows, like, he is all about half truths, you know. These are the serpents that you have to be really careful. Right? Half truth is, right? He came in with the truth. That's how he got the credibility. But again, as time went on, he just kept on lying and lying and lying and lying and adopting new ideologies, right? New age ideologies like Gnosticism, right? So let's talk about this philosophical. Poa poa. Okay, let's talk about this materialistic, philosophical, materialistic view that the maker of this video expressed here, right? Again, I'm a friendly person. For the maker of the video, if you see my video, please relax. Okay, I'm just having a conversation. I do these things sometimes because I believe in my faith that it's important, right? It's important for people to have a conversation, right? To challenge each other, right? You have made a video to express the views thereof, right? In challenging, or rather in the attempt of unveiling the worth of the Bible, and that's what I want also, right? To unwind the madness. So let's talk about and I'm also going to challenge and prove to you that indeed your scientific point of view or the world's point of view has been skewed in some way or the other, right? And again, it confirms to these four beliefs. Again, beliefs, keyword, right? All life came into being by accident. That is the Big Bang theory, literally. That's the Big Bang theory. We are nothing more than the physical parts of our brain and our body, right? That comes into quantum physics. Do you know about quantum physics and observations and particles? This is the same convoluted thinking that was held in the Matrix, right? Morpheus promised to make a new heaven, right? And it ended up making a hell. Why? Because it was a hell from the beginning. Not that it was it went through hurdles or something. It ended in hell because the idea itself came from hell, right? So let me talk about it. Let me make it as simple, right? So these scientists have come out here and said the physical particle, the physical material world is made up of vibrating particles, right? And these particles only exist under observation. If I'm not mistaken, they call it a superposition or something, right? Again, more theories, just like evolution, just like the Big Bang, okay? But again, they are treated as doctrine, not theory, okay? Not theory, but as doctrine, because again, like you said, it's a belief. So they're saying that these particles are only rather observed when there is an observer. Do you understand what I just said? So it's like you have a empty, let's not even call it empty, right? You have a slide under a microscope, right? You are trying to look into a miniature world, right? And they're saying that if you do not look into that microscope, there is nothing. But when you observe, there is something. What does that say? Mind over matter. Have you heard such statements? These are worldviews that have been created and are supported by science. Slowly, they are making you comfortable with these ideas, right? And we are not talking about the consequences here, right? But rather we are talking about the rather the architecture of how people think, right? And space has indeed made us to become insignificant pieces of accident that we are, because that was the intention. When we know the truth back then, we were literally the purpose of everything to exist, right? This world was created for us, but they took us out of the picture and we became an accident. Basically, I don't know, right? Matter is the only thing that is real, right? Again, science is everything that you can prove, right? And I made a video challenging this whole ideology, right? Even the proofs that that we possess in science are not real. They are not real. They are not solid, so to speak, right? We do not have the speed of sound. We do not have the speed of light. We do not. It's impossible to measure. It's impossible to measure. But again, since it's doctrinal, they have standardized and hence shaped people's thinking capacity to apprehend complex subjects, right? They don't believe in the spirit world anymore. It does not believe. It does not exist. I'm sorry. Right? It does not exist. Why? Because you can prove it empirically. This is the word they use, right? And of course, there's no such thing as the divine. It goes hand in hand. Well, again, from your information, I have a theory why the divine does not exist anymore. Because of these people, right? These rulers who represent the dark side, right? This is why the divine does not exist. Because if the divine exists, then a standard exists. Then good and evil exists, okay? So the denial of people that good and evil is just what has been agreed upon by people is not true, right? A standard has been set for you and for me, for the rich and for the poor, for the sick and the well. A standard has been set. A bar has been set. A line has been drawn. And these people want to make that line disappear so as they can be gods. They can then re-establish, like they're trying to do now, right? Right? Why would you want a reproductive organ in the rectum? Why? That is dangerous. That is dangerous. But they have normalized this such thing, right? And why? Because they're in defiance. Because they know for a fact there is an established order, and they're trying to destroy that order. Hence, I call them the resistance. That's why I call them the resistance. That's why. So I have the questions for these Gnostics, and I hope they have answers. But anyway, Pretty Easy signing out. Let me put a pen on it right there. Love you. Bye.